sizokhuluma nje nge-life kahle kahle for mina. Yes, there's GBV. Yes, kunama-teenage pregnancies. Yes, kunokugulishana nje okwenzakalayo esikoleni, kunayo yonke nje into.
New day, new drama in South Africa. According to new reports, King Misuzulu, former first wife, gives him this 5 conditions before she returns back to him as his wife. Please like this video as you watch. The Zulu royal family, one of the most storied and culturally significant dynasties in southern Africa, has recently been the center of intense public attention. At the heart of this attention is the relationship between King Misuzulu Athini, the current monarch, and his former first wife, Queen Nkosi Kameyasila. Their marital saga has become a focal point for discussions about tradition, law, and the balancing act between personal rights and cultural expectations. King Misuzulu ascended to the Zulu throne in 2021, following the passing of his father, King Goodwill Zwelithini. His reign began amidst anticipation and respect for the monarchy's long-standing traditions, but it also ushered in a period of complex marital negotiations. Prior to his coronation, King Misuzulu had entered a civil union with Queen Nkosi. This marriage, while legitimate under South African civil law, was a modern arrangement that did not fully accommodate the customary Zulu practice of polygamy. For a king of the Zulu nation, where cultural norms often celebrate and expect multiple wives, this created a delicate situation from the outset. In 2022, the king took a second wife, Queen Nkosi Malela, a move that, though surprising to some, was largely accepted by Queen Nkosi. She did not object at the time, demonstrating a willingness to honor both the king's cultural prerogatives and her own understanding of marital compromise. However, tensions escalated when news emerged in early 2025 that King Misuzulu intended to marry a third wife, Queen Nomzamo Maini, a union that reignited legal and emotional challenges. Queen Nkosi found herself at a crossroads. While culturally she was expected to accommodate additional wives, legally, her civil marriage complicated the process. Queen Nkosi's response to the king's plans was deliberate and strategic. She sought legal counsel to understand her rights within the framework of South African law, which does not automatically recognize civil marriages as polygamous. Her lawyers advised her that, under the terms of her marriage, the king could not legally marry another woman without her explicit consent. While she harbored no personal objection to polygamy in principle, she insisted that her marriage be formally converted into a customary union. This conversion, she argued, would legitimize both her position and the king's polygamous aspirations in accordance with Zulu tradition. Yet, despite this proposal, the king had not yet taken steps to formalize the conversion, leaving their marital status in a state of legal ambiguity. In January 2025, Queen Nkosi escalated the matter by filing an urgent application in the Pietermaritzburg High Court, seeking to interdict the king from proceeding with his third marriage. The court, after careful consideration, ultimately ruled against her, emphasizing that she had previously consented to the king taking other wives and that there was no immediate urgency warranting the suspension of the marriage plans. Despite this legal setback, Queen Nkosi did not retreat. She filed a notice to defend against the king's divorce application, signaling her resolve to assert her rights and maintain her dignity within the royal household. During the months following the court proceedings, Queen Nkosi spent considerable time away from the royal palace, residing in Durban with her children. This period of absence was not merely physical but symbolic. It allowed her to reassess her position and assert the conditions under which she might consider returning to the king and the palace. Through careful deliberation, Queen Nkosi articulated a vision of reconciliation that was rooted not in subservience, but in equality, respect, and the recognition of her historical role as the king's first wife. Central to her conditions was the insistence that her civil marriage be converted into a customary union. This transformation would acknowledge her unique status within the royal hierarchy and provide a legally sound foundation for the king's polygamous arrangements. Queen Nkosi emphasized that this step was critical, not merely for legal recognition, but as a reflection of the king's respect for both her and the cultural traditions of the Zulu nation. Alongside this, she sought an official acknowledgement of her position as the first wife, ensuring that her rights, privileges, and authority within the palace were recognized and protected. For her, this was not about competition with the other wives, but about maintaining her dignity and role within the family she had helped establish. Equally significant was her demand for transparency and consultation in future marital decisions. Queen Dikoso made it clear that any further marriages or decisions affecting the structure of the royal household must involve her knowledge and input. She viewed this as a matter of respect, ensuring that her voice and perspective as the king's first wife were not ignored or diminished. Alongside this, she sought assurances that she would be treated equitably compared to any co-wives, particularly in terms of household responsibilities, privileges, and the overall management of the royal household. The final, and perhaps most personal, of her conditions was the restoration of her dignity. Queen Dikoso has endured public scrutiny, media speculation, and legal challenges throughout this process. For her, reconciliation with the king would involve a formal acknowledgement of the emotional and reputational harm caused by past actions, coupled with a commitment from the king to publicly and privately restore her respect and standing within the royal community. This aspect of her demands highlights the intersection of personal well-being and traditional duties in navigating life within the monarchy. The saga of King Misuzulu and Queen Dikoso illuminates broader societal conversations about the tension between tradition and modernity, between civil law and customary practice. South African law recognizes civil marriages as monogamous unless explicitly converted, whereas Zulu customs accommodate polygamy under customary law, provided proper consent is obtained. This duality has created a complex landscape in which the king must navigate both legal obligations and cultural expectations. Experts note that, even within a customary framework, the first wife's consent is traditionally sought and respected, underscoring the significance of Queen Dikoso's stance. As public attention continues to follow the royal household, the story of King Misuzulu and Queen Dikoso serves as both a cautionary tale and a testament to resilience. It highlights the intricate dance between personal agency, cultural heritage, and legal structures. Queen Dikoso's careful and deliberate approach demonstrates her commitment not only to her own rights, but also to the preservation of the dignity and integrity of the Zulu monarchy. Ultimately, the resolution of this marital saga will carry implications far beyond the royal household. It will influence public perceptions of the monarchy, inform legal interpretations of civil versus customary marriages, and shape the cultural dialogue around the evolving role of women within traditional royal structures. As the Zulu nation and the wider world watch, one truth remains clear.